Hello and welcome to Photography Session Days. My name is Graham Curry and you're joining us today for the first in our Spotlight series, in which we're going to be shining a light on somebody very special indeed. Now, today is no exception, because we have in the studio the internationally published, the multi-award winning, super talented, very beautiful,
Keep going.
and half of Session Days, Emma Finch. Hello, Emma.
Hi, Graham.
So, Emma Finch Photography and Belle Privé and half of Session Days, as I mentioned earlier. That's quite a lot. So how did it all start?
Well, I've always been passionate about photography. I was very much a jack of all trades, though. At the time, I was a bilingual accountant. Then I had my two young daughters, and it was at that point.
Hold on a minute. You don't look old enough to have two daughters.
I wish.
Well.
So it was at that point that I really wanted to improve what I did. My love of portraiture was born. I upped my game. I improved what I did. I eventually ended up launching Emma Finch Photography about 10 years ago now. And because my portfolio was very much built on my own two children, I was attracting other families with similarly aged children, quite young children, which is a very good grounding in portrait photography. Not always the easiest subjects to photograph. So I've been professional for about 10 years now, and I love what I do.
We're sitting here today in this glorious summer sunshine in your studio in the centre of Manchester. How did that all come about?
So a couple of years after launching Emma Finch Photography, which is predominantly natural light, natural settings, very cute images of children, I really wanted to get to grips with studio lighting, which at the time I thought was a complete dark art. It turns out it's not just as difficult as I thought it was. I spent about a year in the studio working with models, teaching myself studio lighting, learning the art of posing, and I launched Belle Privé Photography about 7 years ago now, very much specialising in female portraiture, commercial lingerie, boudoir, very stylised, sort of cinematic.
And is that where all the awards and certificates that we can see on the wall come from?
Yeah, no, I definitely think I'm more known for my studio work. That's the work that gets published. That's the work that gets the bigger awards for me. So I'm very passionate about what I do in the studio.
And what sort of awards have we got here?
Well, I've got awards from the Guild of Photographers, from societies of photographers. Last year, I was in the top 10 international portrait.
Top 5, surely.
Top 5. It was top 5. You're right.
Yeah. So, and so, how did your involvement with Photography Session Days come about?
Well, I was at a local camera club, South Manchester Camera Club. I was on the committee. I met the then president, which was a bloke called Graham Curry.
Oh, is that irritating Scouser?
Yeah, him. And we started working together in the studio. We realised there was nothing on the market for portrait workshops. There was nothing at all around Manchester. We put our heads together, came up with the concept of Photography Session Days. It was supposed to be a one-off event, just to really boost our portfolio.
Well, those heady old days, eh?
Look where we are now.
A one-off, I wish.
And it's
7 years and God knows how many events later, here we are.
Yeah, it snowballed. Yeah, no, it's true. I think we're quite unique in the market in that almost half of our photographers are female, which is great. I particularly always want to encourage more females into the industry. And
do you find it a help or a hindrance being a woman in what is essentially a male-dominated industry? And you've got that that sort of Belle Privé business. It's predominantly a very male-dominated industry, isn't it?
It is, and I do get asked that a lot when I do interviews for magazines. I always get asked about being a female photographer in a predominantly man's world. And to be perfectly honest, it's a blessing. It's a massive advantage. The two demographics that I work with, children, well, mothers are the ones that usually book me. They're much more comfortable knowing that I'm a mother myself and a female photographer.
I can see that.
I know how to engage with children. That's not to say that obviously male photographers couldn't, but I think mums particularly are more comfortable with a female photographer. And then the other business, the studio business, Belle Privé, I'm working predominantly with female clients, and they are much more comfortable with me being a woman myself. I
can
know
see
how
that
women
too.
want to be photographed, and just having that female eye, particularly in my genre, is really helpful.
So Emma, I can see lots of the camera equipment around here. What lighting equipment do you use? Which camera do you use, and why?
So I use a Canon 5D Mark IV. That's my main body. My backup body is 5D Mark III.
Which lens do you use?
The 2470 2.8 is
Fabulous lens.
my workhorse lens. Gives me the flexibility in the studio. The studio isn't huge, as you can see, so it's the perfect lens for me. That's what's on my body most of the time. Lighting wise, I use Pixapro. So I've got 4 Pica 200 lights. Very easy to use, very reliable lights. We use them on all our events, as you know. And my modifier of choice is the Octobox, which most portrait photographers will tell you that the Octobox is the best for portraiture.
Double diffused.
The more diffusion, the better.
So Emma, where do you draw your inspiration from for all these wonderful photos that you've got displayed in the studio?
Well, you can probably tell from my work that there's definitely a vintage edge. So I'm definitely inspired by the 40s and 50s. I like old Hollywood glamour. I like to show elegance, femininity, sensuality. I like rich colors. I like cinematic, dark, moody lighting. I like some drama in
That's
my
where
images.
creative noir came from.
It did, definitely. I'm very much drawn to that style of photography. I like to empower my clients, so I like to show women in empowering positions, but always showing that femininity and that elegance. And I hope, I think that that's a hallmark of my work.
Are you perhaps aware of being a role model to women?
Really?
Yeah, I can see why that would be true. Certainly, based on some of the things you've said, like the fact that you are empowering women through the work that you do with them, photographically, and also the fact that you impart your knowledge and your skills on the training courses that are part of photography session days.
Yeah, no, it is. Well, that's usually flattering. I do enjoy teaching. I like to watch people's photographic journeys. I like to see them progress. I like to see them, win the awards and the competitions, and come on the events and learn the skills that they need to improve what they do.
Well, that's fantastic. I think some of the work that you've produced and some of the work you've helped people to produce is in itself inspirational. So, what does the future hold for Emma Finch?
Well, there's so many things that I'd like to achieve. I really feel like I'm just starting, to be honest. Um, I would like to continue to improve what I do. I think when you stop learning is when it starts to become boring, and I am incredibly passionate about what I do. I literally eat, sleep, and breathe portrait photography. Um, I would like to do more commercial work. I'd like to shoot abroad more. Um, there's shoots I'd like to do. There's so many things on my list of things I'd like to achieve.
And I'm sure you'll achieve all of those. Certainly, your journey in the last 10 years has been quite stratospheric, and we are sitting here today interviewing you and letting the world know what a talented individual you are. Thank you very much, Emma, for your time.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for being interviewed. It was a pleasure.
Thank you.
So, thank you for joining Photography Session Days and watching our spotlight slot. We hope you've enjoyed the interview today. We're going to have some more interviews for you in the future. But for now, just like and subscribe.